sorry. A major one that interests me, and I think it should interest more people, is they don't include the cost of modernising the atomic weapons establishment at Aldermaston. Aldermaston and Burfield, I should say. Basically, AWE, which covers Aldermaston and Burfield, is where we design and build our nuclear warheads. And several years ago, it was taken over by a private company, AWE Management Limited. Finding out about AWE Management Limited is very difficult. It's, we know it's run by the group SOCO, the US company Jacobs Engineering and Lockheed Martin, the latter two have heavy interest in the US nuclear weapons program. And we know that they're currently redeveloping the site. Their newsletter described the redevelopment as bigger than the Terminal 5 project. But the details of what's going on, it's hard to find costings for. What's particularly worrying is there is some refurbishment of old buildings going on, but there's a lot of building of new high-tech facilities such as super lasers, hydrodynamic test facilities and supercomputers that if you talk to nuclear scientists in the US, tell us are directly linked to designing, testing and building new warheads. They're very categorical on that and have actually campaigned against similar developments in the US because they say they create uncertainty. And that if what you want to do is maintain your warheads, keep them safe, there are better ways and cheaper ways of doing it. So, putting aside the question of whether Aldermaston is going ahead with KIT basically to develop new warheads in advance of Parliament having decided that that's what should happen, I mean they haven't promised to vote on that, we can look at the money that's going into Aldermaston. So, the white paper said that additional funding was going to Aldermaston, and since then we've seen billions going into the company. We've had various one-off announcements, we've had money being committed through the Comprehensive Spending Review, and then just last month we had a ministerial statement by Quentin Davis who announced that Aldermaston were going to be funded to the tune of an additional £1 billion every year up to 2013. So clearly the credit crunch is hitting every sector of our economy. There is actually a briefing that the Nuclear Information Service have produced specifically on this additional money on Aldermaston that's over there on the desk. As I say, it's very hard, and I really hope that Parliament will pick up this question of Aldermaston and what is going on there, what the building's for, what the costings are, what the implications are. But the best estimate we've got is that about 7.5 billion has been spent on Aldermaston between 2005 and 2015. I haven't put that into the 97 billion figure because I can't say what percentage of it should be in there, but it's another area that needs investigating. Okay, so putting Aldermaston aside, there's been a lot of agreement that there's problems with the 15 to 20 billion estimate that the government have given, and the most comprehensive look at it was the National Audit Office in 2008. That had a whole list of concerns about the estimates. Failure to take into account fluctuating prices for materials, take into account VAT rating, inflation, changing pound-dollar exchange rates, were some of the things. They also raised very valid concerns about the fact that BAE has an effective monopoly on submarine building, unless you think that we're actually going to go outside the UK to build submarines, which is extremely unlikely. And the fact that BAE know that they've got this monopoly, and they're very worried about how that could impact on costs. And I guess they've got in mind the Astute submarine programme, also run by BAE, which is currently, I believe, unless it's been updated, 47% of budget and 3 years late. So there are reasons to be worried about these estimates. Another reason is the Vernon Gray report, which actually came out after my report. I mean, the reason we put the figure of 30 billion on building was after talking to defence economists and taking on board their evidence that new weapon systems tend to cost twice as much as their predecessors. So we placed a £30 billion cost on the submarines. And I don't know if I can put it in here. Oh, yeah. I thought this was just a great quote, really. This is the report produced by Bernard Gray. How can it be it takes 20 years to buy a ship or aircraft or tank? Why does it always seem to cost at least twice what it was thought? Even worse, at the end of the wait, why does it never seem to do what it was supposed to do? The issue is a mystery wrapped in enigma, shrouded in an acronym. Okay, so this is just a graphic that it was very hard to put this in graphic form, and I still think we haven't cracked it with this one. But this tries to express all the different elements that we say are missing and should be added into the total cost of Trident, and costs that are unclear, that need unpicking, that may push the final 97 billion figure even higher. I think an important thing to bear in mind is this isn't money that's being spent all in the future. A lot of it's happening now and certainly in the coming decades. We've already got money being spent on scoping out submarine designs. Apparently the next commitment has been delayed now till after the MPT in May. But previously there was supposed to be a commitment to more funds happening in September. We've also obviously got the running costs which are ongoing, and we've got £1 billion a year going into Aldermaston. And even if Gordon Brown's proposal to cut the submarine fleet from 43 goes ahead, in cash terms this will save relatively little, around £3 billion is the estimate. And we can have another conversation about whether, certainly the rest of the world doesn't see that gesture as a significant disarmament move, taken on the basis that, as it was, that it doesn't change the UK's nuclear posture. So, I'm going to wrap up now. I think I've been more than 10 minutes, haven't I? So this is my first run through of PowerPoint, so apologies. Okay, I just think we need to, as I said before, really grasp this opportunity to revisit this decision on Trident. The decision about it needs to be made in a broad context, looking at the real threats facing the UK, but also the opportunity costs. And one thing we should look at is what this money could achieve. We're going to talk about pensions now, but what impact it could have in terms of decarbonising our economy and making us less dependent on energy imports. One thing that would actually increase our security in the future years, or addressing human poverty, for instance. One final stat, £1 billion, I'm told by my colleague that works on energy efficiency. Just 1 year of additional investment at Aldermaston could help insulate 450,000 households, cut their energy bills, cut CO2 emissions, and create thousands of jobs. So this is a debate that needs to be